Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I concur with the remarks the Prime Minister just made about the disaster in Croydon last week? Our sympathies to all those who lost loved ones and our solidarity with the emergency workers who've gone through such trauma in freeing people from the wreckage. Mr. Speaker, it appears from press reports that the Chagos Islanders who were expelled from their homes over 40 years ago are going to suffer another injustice today with their denial of their right of return. Yesterday, the Foreign Secretary told European media that Brexit would probably mean leaving the customs union. Can the Prime Minister confirm whether this is the case?
I think the right honourable gentleman was trying to get two issues in there. Can I just say on the issue of the Chagos Islanders, there will be a written ministerial statement that will be in the House later today, so everybody will be able to see the position that the government is taking on that particular issue. On the whole question of the customs union, of the trading relationships that we have with the European Union and with other parts of the world once we have left the European Union, we are preparing carefully for the formal negotiations. But we're preparing carefully for the formal negotiations. What we want to ensure is that we have the best possible trading deal with the European Union once we have left.
Corbyn. I asked the Prime Minister actually about the Foreign Secretary's remarks about leaving the customs union. He's only a few places down from her. Mr. Speaker, would it be in order for the Foreign Secretary to come forward and tell us what he actually said? I'm sure we would all be better informed if he did. Earlier this week, Mr. Speaker, a leaked memo said the government is considerably short of having a plan for Brexit. No common strategy has emerged, in part because of the divisions within the Cabinet. If this memo is, as the Prime Minister's press department says, written by ill-informed consultants, could she put the government's plan and common strategy for Brexit before Parliament?
Well, I have to say to the right honourable gentleman, yes, we do have a plan. Is to deliver the best possible deal in trading with and operating within the European Union. Our plan is to deliver control of movement from people from the European Union into the United Kingdom. Our plan is to go out there across the world and negotiate free trade agreements around the rest of the world. And this government is absolutely united in its determination to deliver on the will of the British people and to deliver Brexit. His shadow cabinet can't even decide whether it supports Brexit or not.
Jeremy Corbyn! Well, the word doesn't seem to have travelled very far, Mr. Speaker, and I have to say I sympathise with the Italian government minister this week who said about her government, somebody needs to tell us something, it needs to be something that makes sense. Isn't the truth that the government is making a total shambles of Brexit and nobody understands what a strategy actually is?
Of course, those in the European Union who we will be negotiating with will want us to set out at this stage every detail of our negotiating strategy. If we were to do that, it would be the best possible way of ensuring that we got the worst result for this country. That's why we won't do it.
Jeremy Corbyn! Well, talking of worst results, Mr. Speaker, the Foreign Secretary has been very helpful on this week because he informed the world that Brexit means Brexit. We didn't know that before. And that beyond that, we're going to make a Titanic success of it. Mr. Speaker, taking back control, if that is what Brexit is to mean, taking back control, she's getting advice from the Foreign Secretary now. Can we all hear it? Yes. Taking Taking back control, Mr. Speaker, clearly requires some extra administration. Deloitte obviously spoke and saying that one department estimates it needs a 40% increase in staff to cope with its Brexit projections, and overall expectations are of an increased headcount of between 10 and 30,000 civil servants. If that estimate is wrong, can the Prime Minister tell the House exactly how many extra civil servants will be required to conduct these negotiations? Her ministers need to know. They are desperate for an answer from her.
Well, I repeat for the right honourable gentleman, we are doing the preparations necessary for the point at which we will start the complex formal negotiations with the European Union. What I have done is set up a department for exiting the European Union, and my right honourable friend, the Secretary of State, the member for Horton, Price and Howden, is doing an excellent job there in making those preparations. But I have to say to the right honourable gentleman, from the confusion that he's got on his benches in relation to this issue of Brexit, it's yet another example with Labour, where they talk, we act, they posture, we deliver. We're getting on with the job, he's not up to the job.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Well, that was exciting, wasn't it? Mr. Speaker.
Order, far too much noise in the chamber. I say to the honourable gentleman member for Kingston and Surbiton, calm yourself, man. You should seek to imitate the calm and repose of your right honourable and learned friend, the member for Rushcliffe, who's setting an example to all members of the House, Mr. Jeremy Corbyn.
I don't wish to promote any further divisions on their benches, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these are the most complex set of negotiations ever undertaken by this country. The civil service has been cut down to its lowest level since the Second World War. The Prime Minister's main focus ought to be, surely, coming up with a serious plan. But can I ask her to clarify something? When the Supreme Court meets in the beginning of December, if it decides to uphold the decision of the High Court, will the Lord Chancellor this time defend our independent judiciary against any public attacks?
As the right honourable gentleman knows, there have been two cases in UK courts in relation to the prerogative power and the use of the prerogative power. The Northern Ireland courts found in favour of the government. The High Court found against the government. We are appealing to the Supreme Court. We have a good argument, and we will put that case to the Supreme Court. I believe, this government believes in the independence of our judiciary, and the judiciary will consider that decision and come to their judgment on the basis of the arguments put before them. But we also believe that our democracy is also underpinned by the freedom of our press.
Jeremy Corbyn.
The question was of defending the independence of the judiciary. We all should be doing that. Mr. Speaker, we have an international development secretary who's opposed to overseas aid. We have a health secretary who is running down our national health service. We have a chancellor with no fiscal strategy. We have a Lord Chancellor who seems to have difficulty defending the judiciary. We have a Brexit team with no plan for Brexit, and as has just been shown, we have a Prime Minister who is not prepared to answer questions on what the actual Brexit strategy is. We need a better answer than she's given us.
I'll tell the right honourable gentleman what we've got. We've got an International Development Secretary delivering on this government's commitment to spend 0.7% of GNI on international development. We've got a Health Secretary delivering on £10 billion extra funding for the health service. And we've got a Chancellor of the Exchequer making sure we have the stable economy that creates the wealth necessary to pay for our public services. But what we certainly have got is a leader of the opposition who's incapable of leading.